Hi there YouTube friends, welcome back to Auntie A's Kitchen. I hope you're having a wonderful week, and today we're going to be making some delicious crispy cheese straws, and in the video I'm going to show you 4 different ways that you can flavour them. But the best part for me is that they're quick and easy to make, so let's get started. When using puff pastry, you always want to prep the ingredients before getting your pastry out of the fridge, and for the best results, you want your pastry to be as cold as possible before putting it into the oven, and this is also going to help it to hold its shape. So for our first bit of prep today, we're going to mix some sugar and cinnamon and then set this aside. Next you want to grate some cheese, which is the star ingredient in this recipe, and I personally like to use a strong mature cheddar for its flavour. And for those of you living in Germany, I sometimes find this in Lidl or I'll buy it over the deli. The second cheese I then grate up is some Parmesan, and I'll use the fine grate on my cheese grater for this. If you can't get any of these cheeses, then my next go-to cheese would be some Gouda. And for your spices, just mix together some ground black pepper, garlic and onion powder, some cayenne for a little bit of heat, some oregano, and finally some paprika. I don't add any salt as the Parmesan is already salty, but feel free to add whatever suits your taste buds. The last bit of prep is to whisk up an egg, and we're going to use this to brush over the pastry later to help it go a nice golden colour. While I'm whisking the egg, may I say hi to everyone? My name's Amanda. I'm just a British home cook who's currently living in Germany. YouTube is a hobby, and I love sharing long and short delicious recipes. So thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing or leaving a comment after a video, or even hitting the like button, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you have some time, I'd always recommend making your own puff pastry, and a rough puff pastry recipe is very simple to make, but if like me, you're in a little bit of a rush, then use a shop-bought puff pastry. And for today's recipe, we're going to use a whole sheet, and you see me in the video cutting up 8 equal slices for the 4 different flavours that we're going to be making today. We will start by making a classic cheese straw, keeping it simple by just adding some of the grated strong cheddar cheese, making sure to evenly distribute this over the pastry. You're also going to want to save some cheese so that you can sprinkle it over the cheese straws later. For our second flavour, sprinkle some of the spices and herbs that we mixed up earlier, then cover with a generous layer of Parmesan. If you don't have any Parmesan, then sometimes I like to use some cheddar so that I have a variety of both plain cheese and some with the herbs and spices. Then place the empty sheet of pastry on top, and you only need to gently press this down as we're going to roll this out later. For our third cheese straw that we're going to be making today, I add some basil flavoured green pesto, which happens to be my favourite flavour, but the roasted tomato pesto also works really well. Then cover your pesto with a generous amount of Parmesan cheese, and just as we did with the others, cover it and then set this aside. And if you have any cheese straw flavour recommendations for me to try, please leave a comment below. For our final cheese straw, although technically not a cheese straw but a sweet alternative, place some of your cinnamon sugar inside and then cover. Sometimes I might add a little bit of applesauce, but today I'm going to leave them plain, and then once they've cooled down, just before serving, I'll drizzle some caramel sauce over the top. And if you're looking for another simple puff pastry dessert idea, then please check out my apple rings recipe that I posted at Christmas. Once you've made all of your cheese straws, give them just a quick gentle roll out before then cutting the pastry into strips. And another 2 tips for extra crispy, perfect cheese straws is not to cut them too thick, and to make sure to leave some space between each straw on your baking tray, as they will expand as they cook. When you've finished twisting all of your cheese and sweet straws and they're evenly placed out on your oven tray, place this into your refrigerator for 10 to 15 minutes to allow the pastry to rest before cooking. And this will also give you time to preheat your oven. Then just before cooking, you want to completely cover your cheese straws with the egg wash to ensure a golden colour, then finish with a final sprinkling of cheese over your savoury straws and the sugar cinnamon over your sweet straws, then pop this into your preheated oven for 20 minutes. Everyone's oven temperature can be a little different, so it's important to keep an eye on your cheese straws. You're looking for a golden colour, and this is important because you don't want to undercook them. So to ensure this, once they have that good colour, about 20 minutes, pull them out of your oven and then carefully flip them over and then put them back in the oven for a final 5 minutes to ensure that they're extra crispy. And my final tip is, once you pull them out of the oven, place them straight onto a cooling rack and then let them cool completely before serving. Once your cheese straws have cooled down, they're ready to be devoured, and in my house these don't last long. And as I mentioned in the introduction, I like to serve these either as an appetiser plain or with a tomato marinara sauce, and sometimes even as a side instead of bread with a delicious tomato soup. And for the dessert option, I like to drizzle some homemade caramel sauce over the top just before serving. My family were waiting at the kitchen door for these, but obviously I had to do a quick quality control with my favourite, the cheddar cheese, and let me tell you, it was delicious. Thanks for watching.